Welcome back everyone to another Mythfall Devlog. If you're new to the channel, I'm building a browser-based bullet hell MMO from scratch in Golang and documenting the process along the way. This week I wanted to work on building a skill tree. I feel like there's a lot of the early game progression that isn't really filled in very well, and there's a huge gap from when the player starts playing and when they start maxing out their character by consuming these stat crystals that they get from the higher level bosses. A lot of the early game is very empty in terms of progression. I wanted to fill this in and also have this extend back past the late game too. So I'm going to add like keystone skills as well. I'm kind of modeling this a little bit after Path of Exile because they have like the notoriously very cool skill tree. So I like theirs a lot, obviously. So I'm going to make it kind of like that, I think. But this is my start of that process, and we will see how it goes. All right, so the first thing that I worked on was kind of building this like graph rendering map thing. So I basically made like a special menu that pops up that you can log or that you can open up from your account and access your skill tree. So it gives you like available points that you can spend. I just maxed it out so you have 1,000 basically right now for testing. But I made like a little middle click drag to move around the map. You can zoom in and out. And then I have little nodes that you can click or you can like highlight over. So I think that this is kind of will be the layout. So I have like the data format set up a little bit, and then obviously I have lines that connect parents to children. But this will be the data format layout that I have. And I think it's working pretty well. I aligned everything to a grid just because that felt easier. I don't really have a like an editor for this, so I just kind of like build this up with a data structure, like a tree data structure, or really it's more like a DAG. But I built this up with a DAG data structure. Yeah, it seems like it's working pretty well. Let's get adding to some of the skills. All right, so I went ahead and added a button to the like main, I guess, game HUD area down here. So this will be the skill tree button. I do want to add like a pop-up that shows the number of skills, maybe right to the right side or the left side of it. Maybe inside like a red bubble of something or something like that, just kind of like so people know that they have skill points available. But I don't have that yet. But basically, they'll click that, open up the skill tree. Then I added in some like better artwork for every single skill to kind of indicate like what it does. So I have these like basic skills, which just I call them lesser passive skills. They just basically give you a small stat boost based off of whatever stat it is. And so you can purchase these with your skill point. That'll be consumed. And then you can kind of grow towards a certain area. I do want to make it easier to purchase these because right now you have to like click it and then you have to go down here and then click purchase. So I want to add some people suggested like double clicking it. And I think that's a good idea. So I might do something like that where you double click it and it purchases it for you. But I also went through and added these keystone skills, I call them. And these ones are kind of on the outer border. So you have to spend a few skill points just to even get there. But kind of the further away you grow, the better these skills end up being. So it's a little bit of an optimization problem for what keystones you want to reach and what stat boosts you also want. So if you want this one, you can kind of get there by either getting vitality or by getting defense. So it's kind of like a preferential thing. And then all of these, or they all kind of grow towards their own little thing. So I have like magic themed ones. I have defense themed ones. I have like vitality themed ones. I have strength themed ones. So depending on what you're trying to optimize, you can kind of grow your skill tree towards whatever you want. And I think that's kind of interesting. I do want to expand this out a little bit more so that like there's more stuff past it. So I think I'll have these branch off into their own little sub trees as well. So then it'll be kind of a decision of maybe I want something in the sub tree, but I don't really want this. So is it worth it sort of deal? So we'll see. So it'll be kind of like a specialization tree, I think. At least that's what's in my head right now. So yeah, but then also you can click on these and you'll see what the skill bonus is. Like for example, this one converts 50% of your defense into vitality points. These are the two that I've implemented so far. And this one gives you +4 health regeneration when your health is below 50%. So those are two that I've implemented so far. I did have to rewrite my modifier system, my stat modifier system to improve a little bit so I could do stuff like this to check your health, to decide if it needs to give you stats. So that took a little bit of time as well. But yeah, I'm happy with how this is turning out. Yeah, I'll go through and add the rest of these, and I think we'll just like pop through them and I'll explain what each one of them does. One thing that I forgot to mention was how people get skill points. So what I decided was that once you hit level 10, I'll give you your first skill point, which you have to spend on this node right here. But +1 strength is a pretty good one, so I think that's a good starting point for newer players. Level 10 is a pretty easy threshold to meet. So that'll be the first threshold. Then the next ones are every power of 2 of honor. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. Of honor points that you get on your character. So the honor bar is what's up here. So XP turns into honor basically. So if I give myself 10,000 XP, that's 10 honor. So that would give me that gives me a few more skill points, 5 more skill points, because one for hitting 1,000 honor, one for hitting 2,000 honor, one for hitting 4,000 honor, one for hitting 8,000 honor, and then one for hitting level 10. So that's the 5 extra skill points that we got from that. And then also you'll get 1 extra skill point for every single stat that you max. Some of these you can, or in the game, you can consume crystals that level up your stats. There's 6 stats that you can level up to the max, like vitality can go to 25, willpower to 25, strength to 10, and then all of these, or these 2 to 10, and then defense to 10, or sorry, speed and dexterity to 20, I guess. But once you level up one of these, you'll get an extra skill point. So leveling up all of these will give you 6 extra skill points. So you get like a total of maybe 11 or so is like a reasonable number to get early-ish on in terms of like maxing skills and stuff like that. And then after that, it gets very, very hard because the only other skill points you get are from doubling your honor. So it's like you need to get 2,000 honor or something to get the next skill point, which is a pretty big barrier. So it kind of gets progressively more and more difficult for your account to get more skill points, which is a neat balance. I think I'm going to add another way as well to get skill points because like I want it to be more of a fun thing. So like I want to add more like achievement based ways to get skill points as well too. So I'll add those eventually, but those ones aren't in the game yet, so I can't really show them to you. But anyways, I need to go back and go through and add all of these extra keystone skills, but the lesser and the greater skills are all added. Yeah, so let's go back and add these ones in and we will keep going. All right, so I just went through and built all of the like backing systems for each of the keystone skills. We'll just go through them each one by one. This one will give you extra vitality based off of your base defense stat. So it'll take 50% of your defense stat. If you have 10, you'll get 5 extra vitality. For example, vampiric tendencies, that will give you 2 lifesteal power and 2 mana steal power with the subtraction of vitality as the negative there. This basically means that whenever you lifesteal or mana steal, you'll steal 2 rather than 1. So that kind of doubles the efficiency of those. Last stand, so if your health is below 50%, you'll get 4 health regeneration. Health regeneration ticks every 5 seconds. So it's a pretty good amount of health to get back, just if you have low health, like in a fight or something. Perfected strikes. If you have full health, you'll have +5 strength. If you do not have full health, you'll have -5 strength. Barbarian defense, you'll lose all of your base defense, but it'll get converted into strength for your character. So you get 50% of it converted to strength, but then you'll lose the base. So then any defense you add by equipping armor, you'll keep that. You'll just lose the stuff you get from consuming stat crystals. Then for Arcane Will, you'll get additional damage based off of your base willpower. So it'll be 25% of your base willpower stat, and you'll get that converted into extra damage for your staff weapons. So that'll hopefully make staves a little bit better. Mystic Echo. Originally, I was going to make this one give you back mana whenever you casted an ability, but really that just turned into being like a flat reduction of mana. So I decided to instead just give you a mana regeneration, so you can cast your spells a little bit more often. And then Body Slam. This will convert your total defense into extra damage if you're using a sword. So this will make swords a little bit stronger as well. So yeah, that's the current skill tree as I have it right now. This will probably be like the first ring of keystone skills. I want to like expand them out obviously and make it a little bit more interesting as well. But I think this is a good start for this initial patch, and I think it adds a lot of variety to the different builds people can come up with. So I'm excited to see what people try out, what people like, and what people hate. So yeah. All right. So I went ahead and updated the some of the UI for the skill tree. So I added this little indicator up here to show that you have skill points. So for example, this account has 100 honor and has maxed all of their stats, so they have 14 skill points. So then you can click this, open up your skill tree, and zoom around and stuff like that. I added a button to recenter everything in case you get like lost in the weeds. You can recenter to find it, because I actually don't have any like clamping bounds. Maybe I'll add that, I don't know. But anyways, then you can click on skill points. You have to start at the center. So if you click on one you can't purchase, nothing really happens. You can't purchase it. But if you click the center one, there's 2 ways to purchase. You can click again because a check mark shows up that shows that you can purchase it. So you can click again, which makes it easy to just like double click through skill points and purchase whatever you want. But you can also purchase through this menu as well. So you can do that too if you want to be slow about it. Then I added a reset points button. I think for while the game's in development, I just will make all of the resets free, or rather when while the skills are getting balanced and I'm adding more to it and stuff like that, I'm just going to make resets free. That way people can test out different builds without killing their character. But eventually I probably will make some sort of cost associated with this because I think it's a little bit more interesting for these to be bigger decisions rather than smaller ones. So, but for now you can click reset and reset all of your points. and then go through and purchase a different path if that's what you want to do. But yeah, that is the end of the skill tree, I believe. I don't think I'll add anything else to this. The last part of this task was just to add the storage to the database. That'll be pretty easy. I'll just pull the component out of the player object and then store it into the player table. So that won't be too hard to add. So yeah, this is pretty much done now. All right, one short little side project that I wanted to work on this week as well was adding multiple entity selections in my map editor. So now, for example, I can like drag a big selection, select a bunch of entities, grab them and like move them to different locations. So I'm planning to use this to reformat the map a little bit because it's kind of a little bit packed in here, and I didn't love that, but it works for entities. It also works for it also works for like chunks of tiles. I can just grab them and place them someplace else. And yeah, it works pretty well. It wasn't too hard to add, but it did take a little bit of patience to get through it. So it's a nice little upgrade, I think. So I figured I'd show it off a little bit. So fitting into the theme of progression systems, I wanted to add a lot more in the way of tracking account progress. So for example, I added a time tracker. So it'll track the amount of time you have in game. And then obviously I mentioned this one previously, but I have the guidebook like item tracker. So every item that you've discovered, that also fits into your crafting system. Then I also added one for dungeons, and this will track different dungeons and things that you've gotten from dungeons and stuff like that. So you can scroll through and see all the dungeons that are available. But it'll also track, you can see I've cleared the Elder Tree Forest one time, and then the best time I had was 1 minute 33 seconds. And then for drops, I got one Ring of Lifesteal, and I got one Elder Word book, age 2. And then the only other dungeon I've done is Olivark's Tower, which I did in 1 second because I was testing stuff. And yeah, but the how the timing works is basically from when the dungeon spawns to when the boss monster dies, that will be the total time. So it's not the total time that you're in the dungeon for, it's the total time that the dungeon was alive. So, but I think that that's a good thing to time with because it's a little bit more stable than like someone could go in and clear half the dungeon, then someone else could run in and then just clear the other half pretty quickly to have like a fast record. So I figured it was best just to have the total time that the dungeon was alive as the tracking metric. So I will just use that. So I think the last thing that I'm going to work on for this patch was this menu update. I kind of had like a lot of disparate menus that were all separated. Like I had one for settings, keybinds, patch notes. That was one like menu group, I guess. And I had one for like account related stuff like your playtime, collection log, dungeon. And these used to be like different buttons down here. I want to kind of move away from these sorts of buttons and move towards like one unified menu here. So that's what I worked on yesterday, actually. So I went ahead and made like these tabs on the left side where you'll click one and it kind of just like switches you to that next menu. And then each of these has their own like menuing data that you can update. And then for like the leave game button in Wiki, I just put these down on the bottom because they this one opens a new browser page and this one just exits the game. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I might move towards like a more book-like graphic here, but I think that this is a pretty good start for this kind of change. So yeah, that was just the last update I wanted to share with you guys. Anyways, that's all I have for this week. As always, an absolutely massive thank you to all the supporters on YouTube, Twitch, GitHub, and Patreon. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.